from the bowling capital of the world, America's #1 bowling show. Championship Bowling. Looks like you fellas are throwing that ball in the pocket pretty good, Robert.
Well, if we can keep it there, Fred, for about the next hour and 15, 20 minutes, we'll be in real good shape.
How about you, Pat?
I just hope it don't change when them lights go on,
pretty
Fred.
good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Championship Bowling from the Firestone Bowlerama here in Akron, Ohio, where each week you see two of the world's greatest professional bowlers in match game competition. Prizes over $70,000, and that's quite a purse. A perfect game worth $10,000, fellas. I hope you're listening to me. And it's a pretty good one this week. Former national all-star champion on my left, Bob Strampe from Detroit, and the big smiling Irishman, Mr. Pat Patterson from St. Louis, who you hear occasionally working with us on the commentary. Pat, it's going to be a little different. You're going to be out here now throwing them.
Well, I watch the other boys at times to see how they do it, so maybe I can copy some of them.
You think you got the thing down pretty good now?
Well, I know where to throw it. If I can put it there, Fred, I'm all right.
You know where to throw it. That's right, Bob, and good luck to you, fellas. A handshake. And we'll get this one underway. Bob Strampe, Pat Patterson. Working with us here. Working with us, they call him a color man. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great young stars that's up and coming is Nelson Burton, Jr. Nelson?
Hi, Freddie, how are you?
This is going to be a new little thing for you, isn't it, being a commentator?
Well, I'm willing to try.
Well, you're a great bowler. It should be very easy. And I believe somebody was mentioning that when Pat Patterson was a great star, that your daddy, Nelson Burton, the ABC Hall of Famer, was rocking you in a little cradle. Is that a true story, really? Is he that old?
Well, I don't know if he's that old, but I was pretty young when I first saw Pat bowl. He's always been a great star in my hometown, and I'm anxious to do the work on him. It'd be a big switch.
He's very big in the city, but not so good in the country. Is that
Pat's been bowling good all over the country for years now.
He is a great star. Well, Nellie, you stand by because we expect you to give us some of the inside information on these two great stars.
Okay, Freddie.
Be ready. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be ready for the first game of 3 on Championship Bowling from Akron, Ohio, the rubber capital of the world. The start of the first game, Championship Bowling here in Akron, Ohio. We're looking at Bob Strampe from Detroit. Bob won the toss, elected to start on the left side. All games starting from the left. Strampe will finish on the right the first and third game. The first frame, the first ball, he doesn't quite get there, and he has himself a very difficult spare. The 2 and the 8, this one keeps you busy. Working with us is Nelson Burton, Jr. from St. Louis. And Nellie, welcome as a commentator.
Well, thank you, Freddie. It'll be a little switch for me from bowling.
Well, I suppose a shot like this keeps you busy as well as anybody else.
It's a tough one for anybody. It's too late. You have to get that back fin.
2-8, the cover by Strampe. And here's big Pat Patterson, a fellow that has been kicking around in the bowling game as a great star for many years. Pat with a 3-finger ball, and he throws what we call today a baseball grip, using the first 2 fingers. And, of course, Billy Hardwick is a great fellow with those first 2 fingers on Oakland's side. Well, that's a good way to start.
Well, anytime you start with a strike, that's a good way to start anyway.
Well, like we say, Nellie, the first assignment here in matches like this on Championship Bowling is to get the first strike, and then the next assignment is to get the first double as soon as you possibly can, and Pat can do it very quickly here in the second frame. Will it be there? There it is. So Patterson off with 2.
That was a real good ball there.
And notice he has tape on his knuckle of his second finger, Nellie. You know he had a
He
bad
has
finger?
some calcium deposits, I believe, in that finger. He's been going to the doctor to try to get that straightened out.
Too high. Fourth pin, he almost got away with it. Bob Strampe, Robert Henry Strampe from Detroit.
Well, he made that little adjustment. After you leave the 2-8 or the bucket, you try to get that next ball in there, and often you pull it high.
Nice and easy to cover. Strampe with the spare. All of these bowlers, these professional bowlers that appear on championship bowling week in and week out, wear the King Louis bowling shirt. Why don't you? Strampe moves left at the end of 2. Strampe's 19 spare. Patterson has the first 2 strikes. He was light here in the first frame, the 2 and the 8. He's up there this time. There's the strike.
He really put the lift on that one. Get that ball up there.
Pat Patterson, St. Louis, born in St. Louis in 1925. Here he comes. There's 3. So we're thinking of bonus money rather early here this week on championship bowling. 5 strikes in a row in any one game, the start of a $250 bonus. $50 for each additional strike. So Patterson will be in position with this strike if he can get it. Looks like he's there. He's there. That's 4. 4 beautiful hits. Certainly no doubt about any of them, Nelson.
No, that one, he's rolling that ball real well, Fred. He's playing a little deep inside, but he's hitting that pocket solid. That's it. That's where you have to hit for a minute.
Strampe for his double. He is too high again. Leaves the 6-10. Seemed to have a hold of that one a little too long.
Well, he tried to crank it up, as we say, put more on the ball to scatter those pins and trust a little bit to luck, and he pulled it, which we often do when we try to throw a strong ball.
I hear some of the youngsters like yourself using the phrase strap it. You ever use that? Strap it or beat it? We're almost halfway in the first game. Bob was the leading money winner on the PBA Tour in 1964. Won the National All-Star in Dallas. Won the PBA National Open in New York. Here he comes. There it is. So we open the bonus window. Nellie, what do you think?
This is a key shot. $250 on this ball. Besides, every pin counts towards that total, Fred.
Well, we can't say that he has carried a shaker on either side. He's had 4 solid strikes. For $250, he fouled. Ladies and gentlemen, he fouled for $250. This is ABC sanctioned competition. And I believe that Pat was a little careless somewhere along the line.
Well, I think he fouled with his right foot.
With his right foot.
Fred,
I was just going to say that.
Rooting the ball out, he hit the foul line with his right foot.
He was trying to follow that ball in the pocket, and he fouled with his right foot, and he comes back with 9 pins. So Pat Patterson, after getting his 5th strike, which of course does not count because it's a foul, his score will read 30, 60, and then just 80. 99, 108 in the 5th. Strampe is 79 with a strike in the 5th. We're in the 6th frame, the first game. Patterson back in the pocket, and he shakes up another one. Strampe now in on the right side. He's on a strike. Boy, what a foul can do to your score. Fourth pin. Strampe still unable to pick up that double. Well, we'll explain the foul rule to some of the non-bowlers who possibly don't quite understand. When your foot goes over that foul line, It is a foul, and that ball, of course, is the same as if you throw one into the channel. And the oddity here was, as Nelson Burton pointed out, that he fouled with his right foot. He was short of the foul line, but as he kicked his right foot over, giving that ball the body English, he carried the strike. But his right foot went over the line. So the score, you can see, suffers. Instead of 30, 60, 90, he'd be working on 2, and he got another strike in the 6th. He would have 120 in the 4th frame, so that foul cost him 21 pins in the 4th. Strampe short, 2-4-5. If Patterson gets another strike in the 7th, that foul would have cost him 42 pins.
Bob's moving left to shoot this, to keep the ball from chopping it.
Nice cover. I think right here, Nellie, might be a good time to take a slow motion shot of Pat. If we would have taken a slow motion shot there in the 5th frame, had we known he was going to foul, we could have come up with something. Oh, he's in there and leaves a solid 10. So Patterson actually has had every ball in the pocket outside of the 2nd one after he fouled, and that would get anybody a little confused.
That ball is a little harder with, Fred, and not so much hook on the ball.
Hurry up. Got it. So Patterson now going into the 8th frame. 128, spare in the 7th. Strampe is 116 with a spare in the 7th. So Strampe, who trailed by as many as 20 pins, 90, it could have been 30 had Pat not fouled, is still very much in this match in the 1st game. Back in there a little tight, the 4 and the 7. He gave that one a good lift.
Yes, he did. He rolled it a little short the line, though, Fred. He didn't get that ball out on the alley as far as he wanted to, and it started to hook a little early on him.
Pat Patterson, averaging 214. 214 for 30 games on championship bowling. There's the cover. Patterson now with a spare in the 8th is Bob Strampe, who won the 1964 Sporting News Professional Bowler of the Year award. In 65 on the winter tour, he won $13,000, including the Continental Open in Bob's hometown, Detroit. Strampe losing what looked like to be a pretty fair hit. Now, just a little tight.
Yeah, well, he kicked that 4 out. He could have had a costly split right there, Freddie.
Well, I suppose you've heard a lot about our nation's physical fitness program, and I want to tell you that bowling is an excellent sport from a health standpoint. You just ask your doctor, and he'll tell you. Keeps you in good shape, even helps trim that waistline. And for those of you in your 60s, bowling is still an ideal sport. So bowl for your health while you bowl for fun. Yes, sir. And I got to tell you that bowling makes you feel like you'd like to. Except when you foul on 4 strikes in a row.
That's sure a bad break.
Hurry up. 4 pin. Boy, Pat looks pretty sharp out here. I'm just wondering how long or if that foul is going to get Pat off his game. Actually, he has had 1 strike since the foul, but he's thrown that ball quite well, but hasn't carried. Sometimes a break like that take all the steam out of you.
You can, Freddie. You get. I thought he was going to really go. Pat's known for his high scores.
Yes, on championship bowling, Nellie, he's had a 289 game, he's had a 287 game, and he's had 2 big 700 totals, 2 740s. So when he starts stringing them, he just keeps going. There's one he threw out of there, and here's a tough shot. This is the baby split on the left side, commonly called the Murphy, and he's got some company. He's got the 5 and the 8 with it. The AMF spare maker here is indicating the ball to the left of the 2 pin. So the ball should take out the 2 and the 7. The 2 should take out the 5 and the 8. He's not going that way. And he left the 8. So Patterson is open in the 10th, spoiling a beautiful game, starting with 4 solid strikes, getting his 5th and fouling 2 opens, his total 190. And Strampe moves in the 10th, and Bob is on a strike looking for his first double. There it is. Well, it's been a long wait for Bob. That was his 3rd opportunity, Nellie, for the double. Once more. Too high. Too high. Like they say, it wasn't the hit. It was the funny way that the pins fell.
That's right. Sometimes you get that in the 11th frame. You'll notice a lot. Bowlers get loose after they get that double, and there's no pressure on them. They're not pressing for that strike at all.
Why is it that you can't develop a ball like that while you're in the middle of the game? Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Strampe going all the way for 215 for Pat Patterson, who started with 4 strikes and fouled 190. And, of course, the thing I'm sure on the minds of everyone is, so I'm going to ask the question of Pat Patterson, of when was the last time, Patrick, that you fouled?
I can't remember, Fred. I'm usually about 3 or 4 inches behind the foul line.
When did you ever foul? Did you ever foul on 4 strikes in a row for $250?
No, I've thrown a gutter ball on 4 in a row already, but I've never fouled on 4 in a row.
Bob, Nellie was mentioning the fact that on your 2nd strike in the 10th, or the 11th frame, as he called it, that this is the most relaxed ball that a bowler usually throws in a game, and you can get breaks like that. So I asked him why a bowler couldn't develop this kind of a ball to throw for 10 frames.
Well, Fred, I wish everybody could, and I'll have to agree with Nellie on this, that I think it is a pretty loose ball, but I think bowlers have been chasing around from Nellie's father on back of why they can't develop this loose ball and make it work.
Do you feel that you threw that ball any different than you did your first one in the 10th?
No, I pulled it, but I mean, actually, the roll on the ball, I think, was better than the first one.
The roll on, well, that's what Nellie was saying. It was a relaxed ball, which proves the point that I wanted to bring out, that you can knock more pins down throwing a relaxed ball.
Right.
If you stay behind the foul line.
Right.
That's the problem.
All right, Pat, we're expecting big things here in the 2nd game. Championship bowling from Akron, Ohio, the home of Firestone. The start of the 2nd game. Here is Pat Patterson from St. Louis. His opponent, Bob Strampe from Detroit. The margin, 25 pins. In case you missed it, Patterson started the first game with 4 strikes and then fouled on his 5th. Doesn't get there again, the 2 pin. Now, he's thrown 2 balls identically here on the left side. Now, of course, this time he had a little better break, leaving nothing but the 2.
Well, Freddie is dropping his thumb down a little bit and causing his fingers not to lift the ball as much, and it skids past the head pin often when you do that. We'll try to correct it on this next shot.
There's the lift. So Patterson off with a spare here in the 2nd game. Both these bowlers will be making another appearance. Total pins for their 6 games, or 2 appearances, will qualify the top 2 men for Championship Bowling's World Series when they join Dick Weber and Billy Hardwick. 4th pin. Strampe seems to be crowding here on the right side. He's lost a couple of tight hits for doubles and for strikes. And I'm wondering, Nellie, if you feel his angle is the same on the right as it is over on the left side, lane 23.
I believe he's a little deeper on the right here, Freddie. I can see. He's trying to make that ball carry. He doesn't want to be thin.
Over the weeks here from Akron, Ohio, you'll see them all. The world's greatest professional bowlers. Dick Weber, Harry Smith, Billy Hardwick, Don Carter, Billy G., Nelson Burton Jr. Come on. There it is. seems quite obvious that Bob prefers the left side.
Well, his ball isn't hooking as much on the left side, Freddie, and he has more confidence in not going in the nose on that alley.
There's a good reach. 10-pin. That 6-pin going right around it. Right around it, down through the channel, and never touching it.
He laid that ball just a little short, Fred, and it made the tour, as we say, went around a little bit. Otherwise, it would have got the 10-pin out on that shot.
Better hurry, Pat.
Slipped again on that approach.
Well, that cross-lane shot many times, with most of the play being on the right side of the approach, that left corner up there when you're shooting at a 10-pin can get a little sticky occasionally, and you'll see this happen quite often. 7-pin, nothing touched it. And Pat couldn't understand the result there. He thought he threw a pretty good ball.
Moving extreme right to shoot this. Notice how he walked towards that spare, Fred?
In other words, when you have a corner spare, you move to the right or to the left, square your shoulders to your target.
Right.
Walk
Walk
right toward it. Very fine bit of advice. Bob Strampe, who folds that little finger in on top of the ball. Boy, that's up way out there. Here it comes in the 10-pin again.
Getting that little extra hook on 24, it's causing him to get behind the head pin, actually, Freddie, and leave that 10, not getting that power on those pins.
Boy, Strampe seems to throw that ball out there on that 10-pin spare where Pat throws more at it. Strampe looks at first. Some of the people in the audience here immediately think the ball is lost, but it begins to make that turn, and he usually gets the 10-pin right in the middle. We're in the 4th frame. Strampe, 37 pins away from Patterson. He's in again and carries again.
He knew he threw a real good ball that time, Fred. It was a little wide, though. He had that good feel in his hand when he let go of it.
Well, he's had 4 in there. 2 strikes on the left, a 4-pin rather, and a 10-pin on the right. Could have been 4 in a row as Patterson trying to get back in that strike line. Here it comes. There it is. Beautiful. Going back a few years, Pat's father was a great bowler, averaged in the 190s. Pat actually started bowling when he was just 12 years old. Do you know Pat's father?
Yes, I do, Fred. He's still active in bowling in St. Louis. In fact, he works at Pat's Bowling Alley.
Of course, Daddy Burton still throws him pretty good.
Yes, he does.
Here he comes. Come on! Well, we have... Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at the former National All-Star champion Bob Strampe in slow motion. For the double.
Tried to make that correction, Fred, to keep from leaving the 10 and got just a little high for the 4. It's a bad break when you do that.
Well, he's had the 4, the 10, and the 4, so he's got to split those two. The 10 going wide and the 4 as he tries to jam the pocket. So at the end of 5, Strampe is 20, 40, 60, 80. Patterson getting back in now. Patterson is 48 in the 3rd, working on 2 strikes. We're halfway. 6th frame. 2nd game. Championship bowling from Akron, Ohio. It's Bob Strampe. Right back in the pocket. This time the 10-pin with company. What
he was a little
happened to
deep
that?
on that one. A little deep. He was bowling near the 3rd arrow, Fred, and you have to have a strong ball from in there, which Bob does throw, but sometimes you get behind that head pin and just leave that 8-10.
Well, we haven't seen one of these in a long time. Go after it. Oh, he gave that a good rattle back there. About the only way you can make that. So Strampe, his first open frame, on a pocket hit, the 8-10. Patterson now can really close the gap. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. They each make 2 appearances, meeting a different opponent. Total pinfall qualifies the top 2. Patterson, too high, 4-7. In the World Series, the last 4 weeks here on Championship Bowling from the Firestone Bowlerama in Akron, Ohio, we'll have our 2 top scorers, joined by the National All-Star champion Dick Weber, the winner of the Tournament of Champions on the PBA Tour, Firestone Open, will join our 2 top scorers in the World Series. There's the cover for Patterson. Pat had a chance to really close it up. Patterson is now 96 with a spare. Strampe open with 107. The margin is going to be less than 20 pins. Patterson moves left. There we are. So at the end of 7 for Patterson, we give him a big strike to work on as Strampe moves in the 7th. Well, there's that 4-pin again. Nellie, Bob having a lot of trouble here.
Well, the funny thing is, Fred, I asked Bob which alley he preferred before the show started, and he said 24. He has been hitting the pocket on the alley every time, almost, though.
Well, he's had a 4, he's had a 10, a 4, and another 4. Well, we mentioned that he was going to the right side working on an 8-10 split. But after leaving an 8-10, the tendency probably is to make sure that you're not going to be light again or in between. Oh, that's out there. 2-4-5. Seemed to be off balance.
Well, he must have lost his timing on the way to the line, Fred. His feet got messed up or something that caused him to pitch the ball to the right.
The AMF Sparemaker indicating the ball between the 2 and the 5. We've watched that 2 being picked off the 5 quite regular here in Akron. Look out. There it is again. Felt that one coming.
Well, most of the boys have moved to the left to avoid chopping it, but it seems like here they just keep chopping it off.
I've been picking the 6 off the 10 also.
That's right.
Here's Patterson in the 8th. Big Pat on a strike can take the lead again. There it is, right there. Beautiful ball. No doubt about that one. Religious faith builds spiritual and moral character, both for the individual and for the community. Worship with your family at the church or temple of your choice this week. Pat Patterson, the smiling Irishman from St. Louis, on 2. Getting himself right back into this match. He trailed by 25 pins. He's high, 3-6-10.
He pulled that ball in there, Fred. His arm swing was a little wide from his body, and he pulled it inside of his mark on the lane.
With this cover, Pat will have about a 3-pin lead here in the 9th frame of the 2nd game, and he got enough of the 3-pin, followed the AMF Sparemaker arrow, and covered the spare. Pat was holding on. Threw that one a little faster going cross lane. You have much trouble with that shot, Nellie? 3-6-10?
That's a tough one for everybody, Fred.
Let's see if we can get that 4-pin out. There we are. We go into the 10th. Patterson leading in this, the 2nd game, by 30 pins. He lost the 1st game by 25. The margin is 5. Strampe on a strike can take the lead back with his first one in the 10th. Another close one on Championship Bowling from Akron, Ohio. There we are. So Strampe again out in front.
That's a nice, relaxed ball again, Fred. He already had his double in the 10th, and this is just bonus here in the 11th. And notice the pin action he got there.
Well, you pointed that out the first game when he got away with one, because, as you say, that 11th frame or the second ball in the 10th is the real relaxer. And Bob just tore them to pieces. One more in the 10th. And the 4-pin, and Bob doesn't mind that right there. So for Strampe, a very strong 193. Bob left a 4-pin in the first. He had a strike, then a 10-pin, then 2 more 4-pins, then an 8-10, and then he picked the 2 off the 5, finishing with 3. In the 10th for Patterson. Too high. Nothing but the 6-pin.
He pulled that ball in, Fred, and he was inside.
Strampe with 192. Patterson covers the count 2-0-2. So there'll be about 15 pins here with a full count. Strampe will have the advantage. 1 game to go. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. Both these boys make a second appearance. 2 appearances, total pins. Top 2 scorers qualify for the World Series, joining Dick Weber and Billy Hardwick. There's an 8-pin count for 200. So for Patterson, 200. For Strampe, 192. Strampe has 407. Patterson, 390. Pat, think you can start this game with 4 in a row, and we'll make sure that we get that foul line up there a little bit for you?
If I do, I'm going to start from back here on my last, for my first step.
Well, I believe by now you realize that Nellie called it immediately, that you went over the line actually with your right foot.
I didn't know which foot, Fred. I felt like it had to be because I'm always about 3 or 4 inches behind the foul line with my left foot, so it almost had to be my right foot.
And Bob,
that shouldn't count as a foul line, should it?
It shouldn't. Yes, it does. You know ABC regulations. Bob, the 4-pin here on the right side. Any explanation why that thing is hanging up there on you?
Well, I may be playing it just a little bit too tight and a little too hard.
Too hard.
Slow up a little bit. I feel like I'm going to loop the ball and leave a 10-pin, and I'll make more 4s than I will 10s.
All right, let's see what happens in the 3rd and final game on Championship Bowling here in Akron, Ohio. This is Fred Wolf along with Nelson Burton, Jr., so don't go away. This is Championship Bowling, Akron, Ohio, where the World Series of Golf is played annually. The 3rd game, Strampe is out in front. The margin, 17 pins. Strampe starting from the left side. He won the toss. He elected to finish on the right, the first and 3rd games. And he shakes one up. So something is backfiring here, actually, for Strampe, Nellie, although he is hitting the right side, but just doesn't seem to carry. But he likes the right side better than the left.
Well, he's been going a little high on 24. He'll probably get it this game real well.
Four-pin for Patterson. Very deep.
Jam that ball right in there, Fred. He didn't give it much room at all. It's almost straight into the pocket.
Pat Patterson covers the spare. Still trails by 17 pins as we go into the 2nd frame. Pat throwing what they call in bowling the baseball grip, using the first 2 fingers. Pat seems to think it's helped his game. He's been using that grip for the past couple of years, something that Billy Hardwick, of course, has made very big in the game. Look at that action. Well, let's see if you can steer Strampe here and kick that 4-pin out, Nellie. left another 8-10.
In order to keep from leaving that 4, he swung it a little wide, got behind the head pin, leave that 10 or 8.
Nice there. So the boys go into the third frame, 20-20. However, Patterson is on the strike. Also, I was going to ask you on this little finger that there's quite a few boys do this, folding it into the palm and putting the little finger on the top of the ball. Have you ever tried this yourself?
I've tried it, Fred. It actually tightens up your grip. Less chance of dropping the ball when you do that.
Of course, Dick Weber is a great believer in it. Don Carter, Harry Smith, quite a few of the boys use it.
Yes, they do.
Here's Patterson now. Chance to make the big move. He's on a strike. Cut that margin down to less than 10 pins with this one. Here it comes. He kept that 4 pin out of there. So there's 7 pins now separating these two fellas. There's 7 frames to go. $1,000 to the winner. They're thinking of total pins. Couldn't keep it going. He's nudged that 6 pin right near the 10. It's going to be pretty hard to pick that one.
Well, he moved the 6 over closer. He won't chop this off, I don't believe, Fred.
The AMF pin spotter putting that pin right back off spot. Right. That wasn't too sure of that one.
A little worried.
You watch the great ones on Championship Bowling every week. Looking at a great one right here. Bob Strampe of Detroit, leading money winner in 1964 on the PBA circuit. Out and back. There we are. There's a double. That gives Strampe those 17 pins right back. In fact, he picked up 2 on the count. No bonus money yet this week. And in case you tuned in late, Pat Patterson started with 4 in a row the first game, got his 5th one for bonus money, but he fouled with his right toe going over the line. 10 pins stopped Strampe.
That looked pretty good all the way, Fred. That ball was solid in the pocket. That could have been a key hit to get Bob loose here and go for total pins. He could have carried it. Wide.
Brady got a little careless with that one.
As you were saying before, he hooks the ball out there and just got it a little too far out that time. See if Pat can take it.
The 2-5. Patterson didn't quite make it. He played that one a little cozy with Strampe open in the 5th. Patterson didn't want to get the hole. Played it on the outside. And he'll have a chance now to get those 10 pins back with 5 frames to go. This is a close one. Less than 10 pins. 2 and the 5, and he covered. Nice shot. The AMF Fairmaker indicated the ball between the 2 and the 5, so at the end of 5 frames, here in the 3rd and final game, Strampe is open with 97. Patterson is 86 in the 4th and a spare in the 5th. Patterson gives it right back with the 6, 7, 10. These boys are playing, you take it, I don't want it.
Yes, they are, Fred. It's getting close to the end here now, and strikes and spares are going to start counting. Either one of them could have taken advantage very easily by getting marks.
Well, here's a tough shot. Pat Patterson certainly made a few of these in his day. Oh, he had a little problem on the left side of the approach. So Pat takes the 7, settles for 110 in the 6th. Strampe now in the 6th. Bob missed a 10-pin in the 5th. On a pretty good hit, he was on a double. What a difference. Took him over here on 3 strikes instead of moving right on a miss. Four-pin again.
Now, that's a real bad break there, Fred, when you catch the 4-9, a key spot. You're pressing a little bit sometimes, and that'll cause it. You're a little tighter with your hand. He'll try to make this. This would be a key shot here.
Looked like about the regular 4-pin hit, but the 9 stayed with it. Ball to the left of the 4, and he just missed the 4, and now Strampe is open.
Oh, Bob went all out for that one. That's not too tough a split to pick sometimes. Just slide the 4 into the 9.
So at the end of 6, Strampe opened with 105. Patterson opened with 110. Patterson leading by 5 pins. He trailed by 17. The margin is 12. We're in the 7th. Strampe back in the pocket leaves the 10-pin. A 1 break here either way. The rate the boys are going is just they're handing it back and forth to each other. Neither boy taking advantage.
I'll be a little more careful with this 10-pin this time, Fred. A little straighter at it.
That's better. Pat Patterson now will bowl 2 frames. All competition moves from right to left. Each bowler bowling 2 complete frames. His opponent sits by and has to watch. Doesn't have to watch. Some of them don't, really. No defense. All offense. The 4-pin comes this way, and look out for that to be the break of the match. Because if Patterson makes this one good, this thing's going to be very close. It's close enough. But Strampe has the advantage at the moment, but the double here by Patterson could put Pat in the driver's seat with just 2 frames to go. We're in the 8th now. The margin is 12 pins. It'll be just 2 pins with this strike. Hurry up. Doesn't get there. Kicks the 5, has nothing but the 2-pin. You students that watch championship bowling occasionally, I wonder, if you've been hitting the books for about 6 hours a day and you feel down in the dumps because of the pressure and the mental strain, have you tried bowling? I bet you'll find that bowling will ease the pressure. Give you a chance to stretch your muscles, mental and physical. This sport is caught on all over the country. With undergraduates, it has everything. Apply a little skill, competition, action, excitement. More and more colleges are installing bowling facilities. You can refresh yourself after studying. Try bowling. There's another 2-pin. With a cover here, Strampe will be 124 spare. Patterson will be 130 spare. Strampe had a lead of 17 pins. The margin, 11 pins with just 2 frames to go. Strampe out in front. The count here is looking very important. As far as Patterson is concerned, Nellie, he's lost 10 pins. Strampe's only lost 6. And those 4 pins look pretty big right now.
Yes, they do. It makes Strampe would double here. It'd make Patterson get a turkey.
Another 4-pin. To check out Sam Baca here, our statistician. How many 4-pins does Strampe have, Sam? And 3 one game. 6 4-pins. Oh, he's had more 4-pins than 10-pins. He's only had 3 10-pins. Be careful. Little double dribble there.
Yes, it was. But his shoulders were directly on line with that spare, Freddie, and that helped him give the direction to the ball. That's all you need on spares, just to touch him. You don't need power.
Pat Patterson now in the 9th. Here's the place for the strike. Patterson will bowl out first. Strampe will know exactly what he needs. 4-9. Up jumped the devil.
Well, you kicked that out last frame, Freddie. but Bob left it the frame before. Both boys seem to be having trouble on this 24.
Patterson has just got to make this.
He's going for it. A little heavy.
Too much of the 4. Patterson open in the 9th. So with a double here in the 10th, Patterson still could get 187. That would mean that Strampe would need 171, and he will have to mark to get that if Patterson fills the 10th with 3 strikes. So he's still not out. Doesn't get it. Now the 2-4-5. After the 4-9, I believe the tendency there naturally is to try to swing with one, isn't it?
Yeah, he was trying to power the pins down with the ball that time, Fred. Just take chances, put a little more on the ball, so any place he hits, he'd strike.
There's the cover. The AMS Fairmaker indicates the ball between the 2 and the 5. And as Nelson Burton suggests, keep your shoulders straight, square with your shot. Forget about the power. Just throw at the arrow. Is that the idea, Nelson?
Sure is, Fred.
The count for 177. This will give Patterson 567, 564. 174. Strampe now in the 10th. Should be relaxed. He has the $1,000 in his pocket.
He'll be going for total wood now, Fred. Just trying to get him down.
Can still shoot 600. Right on the nose with this one. And 2 more.
Perfect ball. Pressure's off now.
Over the weeks on championship bowling, you'll see them all. Billy Whaley, the great left-hander Bill Allen, Buzz Fazio, Andy Morsich, Ray Bluth, Billy G., Jimmy St. John, Ed Bourday, Dave Sutar, Fred Lenning, 610. So Strampe will be under 600, but enough to win. 183 will give him 590. There it is. So Strampe covers 2 for 183 for Strampe. The total is 590 for Patterson, 174. The total 564. Well, Nellie, as a bowling commentator, how do you like sitting here rather than out there?
I feel a little more comfortable out there, Freddie, I'll tell you.
You feel more comfortable out there?
I sure do.
You don't worry about 4 pins or 10 pins here.
Well, I know what to do out there. I'm not sure up here.
Well, you did very well. I want to thank you very much for sitting in. Don't go away. We still have the presentations. This is Championship Bowling. Fred Wolf along with Nelson Burton, Jr. here in Akron, Ohio, the home of Firestone. Here are the final results for Pat Patterson, 190, 200, 174. His total is 564. For Bob Strampe, 215, 192, a 183 finish, the total 590. The winner, Bob Strampe. Did you enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen?
Are you asking me, Fred?
Well, Pat, very quickly, $500 as the runner-up, and I've noticed in the statistical department, Strampe had 15 strikes. You had 13, but we took one away from you because of your foul. And I'm going to ask you once more, when did you foul the last time? Remember?
Fred, I hate to say how long I've been bowling, but it's hard to remember back that far. I really haven't fouled in a long time.
Well, it was a $250 foul,
yes,
as you know. Robert, $1,000 is the winner.
Thanks, Fred.
Congratulations, competing in your first series here on Championship Bowling. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Well, I did, and it's always a pleasure to be here. Although both Pat and I would have liked to shoot a little more, it's always good to have the opportunity to have the chance to make more.
Very good. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Pat. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 of our great professional bowlers. You can shake hands now, fellas. It's all over. Good luck to you. Repeating the total, Strampe 590, Patterson 564. Sure hope you can join us again next week here at the Firestone Bowlerama in Akron, Ohio, when we'll have two more of bowling's top professional stars in a three-game match, competing for prize fund here of $70,000. So speaking for Nelson Burton Jr. and myself, this is Fred Wolf. Don't forget, keep 'em bowling out there. It's great fun. You know why? Because bowling makes you feel like you'd like to. Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us produce championship bowling.